How's it going, everybody? My name is Infamous Isaac, and I'm here with a video on Interstellar, a movie that came out 2014. I think it's been 8 years now since it came out, and this is the first Matthew McConaughey movie I've ever watched, I think, or if I have, or if I haven't, I don't know what other movie I've watched with him in it. I'll probably have to look it up, and if he's in it, oh then shoot, I'll let you guys know. This is, of my knowledge, the first one, and I've been meaning to watch this movie for a and I mean very long time. I have had this on the back burner for years, and it's just been sitting there. And since I watched Avatar, like the day that I'm recording this, I watched it yesterday. Wanted to watch it because space, bro. Space movies are some of the coolest movies to me ever. Just in general, I love space movies. Sci-fi, futuristic, that type of just genre is awesome and I love it. Hearing that Interstellar is a sci-fi space movie, even if it wasn't a sci-fi movie, just like it being a space movie, period, was gonna gravitate it towards me, or me gravitate towards it. My rating for it, if you guys want to hear my rating right now, I want to give it an 8. Alright, I want to give it an 8. There was a certain section that I didn't like in a beginning where I thought it was a little boring, but the ending and a good middle portion was awesome. It kind of salvaged it and brought it back up for me because originally I was going to give it it was great. The ending was great. The middle section was good. The space parts were great. I'm not gonna go into too much detail on that though. It's an 8. It's gonna give it a 7, but it rose back up to an 8 and could have been a 9 if I liked it more. Let me go into the spoiler section, you know? We're leaving the spoiler section. If you want to leave now, by all means, I suggest doing so. If you don't care, then you don't care. But I'm gonna go into it. Let's go into the story, right? The story basically takes place with Matthew McConaughey, aka Cooper, the main character. He's a guy in a farm type country, not country, more like state, I guess, in the U.S. From what it seems like. It's kind of like in the South, and it's a lot of agriculture, like farming and stuff like that. But there's a bunch of dust storms going on. And it seems like the Earth is dying because all these dust storms are caused by that. Coop is a ex fighter pilot, I guess. Like he's had flying experience and he's reached the stratosphere but not out of it. So when him and his daughter find a secret NASA base, they recruit Coop to basically go out into space and save humanity. But he's doing it more just to like, yo, my children need a future, right? Because, we don't know how long this is gonna take. So his daughter doesn't want him to go. His son's like, it's fine. I'll take care of the house and all that. And his grandpa, or well, his father is there as well. His daughter has a thing where a bookshelf in her room is talking to her basically, like through Morse code and stuff like that. It's talking to her through Morse code. And she's trying to figure out why. Is it ghosts? Is it something like that? She's telling him literally, stay. Do not go. The bookshelf is telling me that you need to stay. He's like, nah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna try to help you guys out. It's not some grandiose reason like I'm trying to save humanity. Nah, I want a future for you guys because I care more about my family than I do about the planet. So if I can do that and ensure a future for you guys, where the next generation isn't left to deal with the pieces, then I'll do it. And so he does. He leaves with three head scientists, right? He leaves with Romley. He leaves with I forgot the dude's name, and then he leaves with Amelia Brand, who is the daughter of the guy who's heading this operation. So they leave. They go to the first planet. The first planet washed up like a water planet. Imagine Earth, but only water. It's just only water on the surface. It's not like deep water into the surface either. It's legit like imagine reaching sea level, deep like touching ground on sea level, but there's waves. There's massive like monsoon waves on this planet. One thing that's important about this is that time is distorted here. Time is really distorted. So you get here and you find out that 7 years on Earth is 1 hour on this planet. And that's one of the main things about this movie that I heard about is that it's about a guy dealing with the fact that his kids may be older than him when he comes back to Earth. And that's just crazy to me. Actually crazy, because that was one of the main attractions. Like, so interesting. How would they handle it? How did Christopher Nolan handle it? And I didn't know that he actually made so many movies. I know that he made the Batman like Christian Bale. Is it Christian Bale? Or I don't remember his name. The 2008 movies around there. And I know that he made that, but I didn't know that he made Dunkirk or Tenet or Inception or this movie. That's really cool to hear about. He really is a good director. It's just dealing with that concept, right? Dealing with that concept of time distortion or relativity, excuse me. Them going to that planet and coming back because they left Romilly on the station that that they're harbored at. And the guy that they went with, it was three of them. It was Amelia, Cooper, and the guy. Doyle, I think his name is Doyle. We see Doyle basically get stranded on that planet and die from the waves. So it's just three people now. It's Amelia, Romley, and Cooper. They go back and they have to decide now what planet are they gonna go to. Do they go to man's planet? Because I didn't mention this, but three astronauts were sent out to three different planets, right? You have the one that was sent to the water planet. She's dead. But the worst part about it, now that I think about it, is that died hours before, or not hours, minutes before they got there. Because you got to remember, they sent her out like 3 years ago on Earth time. But on that planet's time, she probably just got there. And she had to deal with all that because the monsoon probably crashed her or whatever. So they barely just got there and they couldn't save her. It's just like, wow, that is messed up, bro. She's been gone for years, but she's only been here for 2 minutes. You go there, they leave, and now they have to decide between the other two planets that other people got sent to, Man or Edmund. Edmund is more like for sentimental value because Amelia wants to go there, she's in love with him, while Man is the more logically sound, right? Because all the records that he's sending sounds like it's a good planet. So they go to Man because Cooper just mans the captain spot, and this is where the halfway point of the movie basically starts. And it's not all just space stuff. It was more like the beginning is, and then you have the other half with the stuff going on Earth, where you realize like, yo, Cooper has been gone for 23 years. He hasn't been gone for 7. He's been gone for 23. So his daughter wasn't 17. His daughter is 33 years old, and that's ridiculous. So you go to that part of the story on Earth where his daughter is just bitter and angry because her dad left, and she just made her mind like, yo, he left us here to die type stuff. She's working with Amelia Brand's dad on this project. They're trying to figure out what to do, all that stuff, and then he's basically dying. He's on his deathbed, and he tells her like, "Yo, this mission was a farce. Basically, we're not sending them to migrate people onto other planets. We're sending them to colonize other planets because this planet is done. There's no way for us to literally send all of humanity through a black hole, no less, through a wormhole, no less, to find other planets. There's just no way. So we have to colonize." But he told nobody. He told nobody this except for like maybe Man, Romley, and the other astronauts that were there. They go to Man, by the way. They go there and now they wake him up from cryo freeze and he's there telling them all about this stuff, and him and Cooper go out to find some information on this planet. Then they go back to Earth and it's just Brand is dead. Murph, which is his daughter, Cooper's daughter, a transmission to her dad or to Amelia saying like, "Yo, your father is dead," but he also lied. And then Cooper's son, Tom, was sending transmissions to him telling about his life and all that, how he has a girlfriend now, he got married, he has a child, he has two children. One of them died, the other one is still alive here. His name is Coop. And then they're just living in the house still. But they go on. Murph and Tom don't have the best relationship, but they're trying to make things work. And she's just still working on the project, right? She's trying to figure out ways to just help try to find a solution because Amelia's dad gave up. While Murph knows the reality, she's still trying to make it work. She will find a solution, right? So it's that resolve versus acceptance, a grim acceptance. Not really acceptance, but more like resignment. He resigned himself to this, and so he's just accepting it and trying to make the most of it. Which is so they get to the planet like I said, and Man and Cooper are going on the expedition, and then we find out Man is actually trying to kill Cooper because they get to a certain part and he tries to push Cooper off of a cliff. This whole time that they were walking, they were talking, right? Walking and talking. They were talking about just family and life and all that. And Cooper was getting suspicious. He was getting suspicious. Like, why are you telling me this stuff? We're just trying to get to what's it called? Like, we're trying to get to that spot, trying to figure out what's going on. You're making it sound like I'm going to die type stuff. And then he pushes him off the cliff. He doesn't die. He manages to call Amelia before his helmet gets shattered and all that, or after his helmet gets shattered, so he doesn't die. He calls Amelia and she shows up. Man is going back to the ship that they came on. Romilly is dead because the explosion. He got caught up in the explosion in the base because robot was basically a trap. A man had a robot himself, and I actually didn't mention. So there's robots in this movie, right? You have Tars, you have Case, there you go, and you have Man's robot. Man's robot was decommissioned and basically made it into a trap. Now that we know, Tars and Case are the main people's robots. So Amelia and just in Coop are here, the last one surviving, and they go to try to find a man back into the Endurance, which is the name of the ship. They go there, they find a man trying to lock on, but he can't dock onto the Endurance. Him trying to dock basically causes an explosion. Now it's just Amelia and Cooper. They dock onto the Endurance, they get everything, and they have one last effort. They can't go back to Earth. They literally cannot. So trying to waste the effort will achieve nothing. They go out, they use the black hole, the gargantuan. They use it to slingshot themselves over to the other planet that Admit is on, the final survivor, or I guess person. But turns out, or Newton's third law, to gain something you have to lose something type stuff, and they basically sacrifice Tars and Coop to get Amelia send her over to Edmund's planet because that's her lover. At the end of the day, that's her lover. And Coop just basically accepts it and just goes into the black hole. And meanwhile, all that stuff is going on. Murph is having conflict with Tom, and they're trying to leave, but she goes back over to their their dad's old house, and she's trying to find all these books and all that. She's trying to find everything, understanding what is happening, what is trying to be communicated towards me, all that. And now back to Coop. He's in a black hole. He's literally inside of a black hole. And I'm no scientist, right? I am no scientist. I am no smart man. I am not. But off of a few videos from Vsauce, right? I know that a black hole basically slows down time and you lose color and you fade out, right? Because that's just how it is. The lack of light basically sends you in there and everything outside, like you cannot see anymore and they can't see you. And basically you stretch out from where you were, you stretch out and you lose color. Basically, like we don't know what's happening inside there, but only you do, because nobody's ever been inside of a black hole in modern times, nobody has ever been inside one. So we don't know what's happening. It sounds like you would die if you were in a black hole. But that's, from what it sounds like, only an interpretation and not full understanding because we don't know. We just don't know. And that's the thing with human beings. We we have at best estimations if we don't have answers for something. Estimations, suggestions, and ideas of what could happen when something happens, right? And it's like Murphy's Law. Anything that can happen will happen, right? So we don't know if we don't know what can happen, then we don't have an answer for it, right? Or an idea. This is an interpretation. That's how I'm looking at it. Because if I try to think like, oh, but if he went into the black hole, he would just die. It's like that's no fun because A, it's entertainment such a movie, and B, at the end of the day, we don't have answers for it regardless. So who knows? Maybe Coop going into the black hole actually is the access to the fifth dimension, and it's gravity basically. The fifth dimension is obtaining gravity and like manipulating it, stuff like that. How the third dimension is 3D space, basically, which is three dimensional, 3D space. It's dumb because it's the same thing, but whatever. So Coop is in the black hole, and he goes there and he finds out this is the fifth dimension. It's gravity. Him controlling gravity is the fifth dimension, and all these people that are inside of the black hole are helping him, not like to help save the world, but just to understand the fifth dimension. And so he's there, and Tars is there as well. He has all the knowledge. He's there. He didn't die somehow. I don't know how, but I guess he's just made out of like titanium, vibranium, stuff like that. And Coop is there. And we find out one of the coolest. Oh, actually, I didn't mention Man. Right, Man is actually Matt Damon, which is really cool and funny because a year later he was casted in The Martian, which is something I did see when it came out. So it's just like, oh shoot, that's fire. That's fire. He went from a bad guy to a good guy. Sick. But or B, Man, when he was talking to Cooper and they were going on that walk, it wasn't a walk to like lure him out and kill him. Well, part of it was, the other part was man basically reaffirming. Like in the beginning of the walk, he said, I would be remiss if I didn't try to convince you to stay, you know, if you just went all this together. Because Coop was gonna go back home after he left Amelia, Romilly, and Man here because they were gonna continue the mission while Coop was gonna go back home because there's no point, right? And they accepted that, except for Man. So Man going on that walk with Cooper was a way to confirm whether he had to kill him or not because man is basically insane. This man went insane to a certain degree. He was alone for so long, he lost hope, all that. So he's not thinking straight. But that doesn't mean that he's not smart. He's trying to do this for humanity. He's not doing this because he's crazy. He's doing it because he wants to save people, but he's just going about it the wrong way. So it's like he had a point, but he went about it wrong. So that walk was a reaffirmation for him, which is cool, which is really cool because I noticed that after he betrayed him, because I had a feeling like, yo, this is not looking too good. Like something's wrong here. But it's the fact that I noticed that it wasn't just him trying to kill him. It was layered. It had some layers to it because he isn't a flat character. Nah, he has some depth to him, which is really cool. So just seeing that story unravel itself in the movie itself was really fire to me, and I really like that. Let me continue. So they're in the fifth dimension, and we find out that Cooper is actually the ghost that Murph was talking about because she had all these books falling out, all that, and we didn't know why. But she wasn't scared of the ghost. There wasn't a real a rationalization through the use of fear. It was a rationalization to try to explain what's happening because she doesn't know what's happening. She's a kid. She's 10 years old. How are you supposed to understand that a fifth dimensional being is trying to contact you through a bookshelf? What do you even know what fifth dimensions are? Like, that makes no sense. And so it makes sense to try to rationalize that, and that's a good like use of logic in that sense, right? I really like that. It was a good way to explain it. With that going on, Coop is basically the one trying to contact her, and he's trying and trying and trying, but eventually he manages to use Morse code with the books to try to contact her and through the watch that he left her when he left. And he gets sent out of the fifth dimension, which is like it's just crazy to think about. But he gets sent out and he gets chucked into Saturn, right? Chucked onto the orbital range of Saturn, as time is infinite in the fifth dimension. So you can go back and you can go. And the being sent him back, so he lived, and Taurus as well was with him. So they sent him back, and then he got sent around to Saturn. Actually, no. He didn't get sent back. He gets sent towards Saturn. So around the time that he's supposed to be alive, right? So he got sent there, and it turns out that Murph Connor or Cooper, excuse me, managed to find the fifth dimension. She did it. She managed to understand it, and now people are living on Saturn, where it's like a sphere. Basically, gravity is a sphere. It's not flat. You're not attached to the Earth's core. It's more like a round. It's super weird, and I don't understand how it would work at all. But I'm not a fifth dimensional being, so I couldn't. But which is crazy, right? Because imagine in the future where the fifth dimension happens to be discovered, right? Like let's say like 100 years, 1,000 years, 100 million years, however long it takes, right? The fifth dimension is discovered, and it's just a sphere, basically. How would that work? Is it like would the Earth's core be like inverted so the gravitational pull is outside instead of inside, or like what? I don't know. I don't get it. It's super weird. And if anybody knows, I guess like hopefully you can explain it because Jesus, this is weird. It's cool. It's really cool. And he gets brought back to Saturn or brought to Saturn. He's in a hospital. He wakes up. He's 124 years old, or at least like age-wise he's supposed to be, but in reality he's still like 34. So he's there, and now they realize like, oh shoot, yeah, he's awake. So your daughter's coming to get you, right? She's coming over to see you. She shows up. All her family is there. All her family, her relatives, all that stuff, and she talks to Cooper alone. His daughter is older than him now by a great margin. She is literally could be his grandmother, if not his parent type thing. That's crazy to think about. You looked at your daughter when she was 10, and now you're looking at her when she's like 80 years old. That is crazy. And it's just it's wild to think about. It's genuinely wild. Just seeing that scene, it shocks you and it makes you think about stuff. It's just wild to me. But she dies and she tells him no parent should have to witness their child die in front of them. Go find your lover, Amelia, as she dies with her family surrounding her while Coop leaves. And it's just like it's crazy, man. She moved on, but she accepted it. She loves her father. She's not bitter. She's not angry anymore. She accepted it, and she loves him for what he did, because nobody believed that he would come back except for her. Coop goes to find Amelia, and she's over at Edmund's planet. Cooper uses one of the ships. He reactivates TARS because he was out of commission when he came back, and he goes to find Amelia because he has nobody left. He genuinely has nobody left. So Amelia is the last person that he can go to. Amelia, Tars, and Case. He goes there. Edmund is dead. And the last scene is basically Amelia burying him. And it pans to a shot of a colony basically being built on that planet. And that's the end of the movie. So let me get into the crazy stuff. So the negatives for me were just the beginning was a little boring. Like the start of it where you're meeting Coop's family, you're learning about NASA, all that stuff. It was like, it's cool. I don't really care because I'm learning more about this character through the story. But the beginning of it is like I'm supposed to care a little bit later on, but now I'm just like, okay, this is Coop, this is Murph, this is Tom, this is Granddad, this is the NASA guys, Dr. Brand, Amelia Brand, cool, whatever. But but why? I started watching the movie, so I don't know these characters at all, right? All I know is the actors, and because of that, I was bored. It's just like I don't have investment yet, is what I'm trying to say. So that for me was a little sluggish, excuse me. But that also might be because I was watching it like at 7 in the morning. Later on, when we were getting to space, when they launched towards space, I really liked that portion, that part, and then the end of the movie. I really liked the space portions, the water planet and stuff like that. What I didn't like was Man's Planet. I liked the beginning of it. I really did because it was interesting. It was such a cool way to look at it because learning about the lie and not bringing Amelia and Coop close was like, oh shoot, that's fire. That's genuinely fire. But then hearing about Man trying to betray him, I was like, come on, man. That's so dumb. Not like by Christopher Nolan, but just like a character thing, right? Why would you, as an astronaut with only 4 people total on this planet, want to kill somebody to go back to the mission? There are 4 of you. Why would you reduce it to 3? As a matter of fact, why would you reduce it to 2? He killed Romilly. Like, why in the world would you think that A, that is a good idea, and B, think that Amelia would be on board with this when she finds out that you were the one that killed both of them, and it would be just you two on the ship, right? Granted, he wasn't doing it for Amelia, he was doing it for the mission, so if he had to kill her as well, he probably would have. But it's such a dumb idea by man. It makes no sense except for the fact that I have to continue the mission. You could have continued it normally without that. Completely. You could have. At the very least with 3 other people. You could have. But no. He just wants to go and kill 2 people. He killed one. That man is a criminal. That man is a murderer. Actually a murderer. It just makes no sense to me that he really thought that was a good idea. It kind of got me a little upset watching it. Like, come on, bro. Are you dumb? Are you stupid? Like, that's not a good idea at all. What's wrong with you? But that part aside, I don't like that part. I didn't like the beginning. Then the rest of the movie, when they deal with man, and then it's just a slingshot towards the end of the movie, I like that a lot. That section of the movie brought it up from like a 7 to an 8 to an 8.5 around there. It was so good. That ending of the movie had me emotional. It was awesome. Genuinely one of the best things I've seen from a movie in a while. Besides like Avatar, but we don't talk about that. Actually, speaking of, I have to watch the trailer for that soon, so can't wait to do that. But the ending of Interstellar was great. I generally loved the ending to the movie. It was so fire, so fire. But character wise, the characters are fire. It was cool. Coop was a good character. Amelia was a good character. Romilly was interesting. He had some depth, but we don't know much about him. You have Tom, who was alright. Granddad, who was barely a character. You had Murph, who was a cool character. We got to see a lot more from her. And it was kind of reflected by the fact that like she didn't care about her father at all until later on in her life where she started getting invested again. It was really cool. We have her love interest there as well. We didn't get to see much of him, but you know, he was there. You have Tom's family. You have Mr. Brand, Dr. Brand, whatever. He's cool. He's alright. But not a lot of characters. For the most part, it's just the space crew and his Coop's family. That's it. Which is like, you know, it's cool having a small cast of characters. It's a good thing. You have more focused characters, while other characters can suffer, or well, other characters do suffer from that. Excuse me. But the main characters are the stronger characters. So it's just like, you know, what can you do? What can you do? But you get the music as well, and the music I heard was really good. I didn't hear much of it in the movie because I was just like I was mostly paying attention to the story, and I wasn't watching it in a movie theater. So the music and the sound effects and all that would be lost on me because I was watching it on my phone, no less. So I would be remiss not to mention it, kind of like man or whatever. But at the same time, I didn't hear much of it. I heard it when the end of the movie was playing because shoot, that was beautiful. The music at the end of the movie, that last section with him being in 5D was awesome. The music here was great. It was cool. The story was probably the strongest part of the movie, which is fire. But besides that, it was a good movie. You know, it was a good movie. Overall, I'd say it's an eight. I still say it's an eight. Yeah, after the beginning of the intro in my video, but you know, overall, it was a good movie. It was definitely a good movie. Would I say it's one of my favorites that I've ever watched? Nah, not really, but it was definitely a good watch. No doubt about that. It was wholeheartedly a thought-provoking, crazy watch with a lot of emotion, a lot of happiness, sadness, anger, just hopelessness, and a hopefulness as well. It's like it was generally a good movie, and I can't I can't wait to just watch more of Christopher Nolan's. You know, that's gonna be it for me for now. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoy. Hopefully, the next like talking video is gonna be or commentary video is gonna be about Better Call Saul, because I kind of took like a detour to watch these movies and it kind of sucked me in. So it's like, oh, well then, Mr. Jimmy McGill got left behind. But hopefully that will be the next video in terms of like after an Overwatch video. But yeah, you know, hope you all enjoy. Thank you all for watching, and as always, it has been Infamous Isaac, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.